Good afternoon, everyone. It's Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Tuesday, April 18th, 2023, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. We're having a time for change call tomorrow night at around 9 p.m. We'll talk more about bicameralism. The civilization needs to know, those that are awake, what that is, the roots of it, which we're covering. We're also going to talk about the true history of this planet and the solar system and creation cycles. This is all part of the education for humanity. In other words, the truth. Do not delude yourself by imagining your source to be some God outside you. Your source is within yourself. Give yourself up to it. Seek the source within and merge with it. Ramon Morishi. We live in a world right now that ignores the fact that a supreme, divine, all-loving intelligence lives within us. We have been programmed to believe we are spiritually disconnected and must fix our broken selves to feel whole and reconnected again. We don't realize it, yet we are just used to feeling spiritually numb, as we have been plagued every day of our lives by an overly materialistic society, which is constantly seducing us with its glorified billion-dollar hypnotic media programming. We have contracted a deep case of spiritual amnesia and have forgotten how to relax into our spiritual essence and find our own intimate connection with the divine. This everyday ignorance of our spiritual nature is the greatest lie mankind is living today. It is the cause of every moment of suffering each human being is currently enduring. One may think this spiritual drought was created by mankind acts coincidentally and is not part of the grand divine design. Nothing is by coincidence, nothing, or without purpose in this universe. This blind ignorance is within us all on purpose, so that we move more passionately towards a state of awakening. These intense levels of disconnection only drive us deeper inside ourselves to find our own soul. This lifetime that we have is meant to be a deeply enlightening experience. Is there anything more important than knowing how to access your own direct personal connection to an all-powerful, deeply eternal loving source of highly intelligent creative energy that has the magical power to manifest anything your heart desires? There is nothing more vital to finding happiness in this life than knowing one's spiritual connection, and nothing more exciting than a proven way to access it, which works every time. No matter how ridiculously stuck you feel about your financial situation, your relationships, health, sex life, and future, there is always a way to reach freedom. If you wish to gain a greater spiritual perspective in this life, make the choice today, in the now, to clarify your personal relationship with the divine. You can see just how far you've come on your spiritual journey by taking the risk to ask yourself. Really ask yourself these questions. What is stopping you from always being in communion with God? What exactly is your relationship with God like? What does it feel like when you are having a truly intimate connection with God? And how often do you recognize and connect with the divine aspects of yourself? How is your life different when living with this connection versus without it? Now, the longer you sit with these questions and feel into your answers, the deeper you'll dig into your soul and eventually discover your spiritual connection. It is never too late to try and connect or to connect. Don't try to connect, connect. Even if you've wasted 75 years or lived 75 years of your life on a gluttonous, frivolous, and mindless activities, feeling perpetually lost in a superficial life, the God source is still here. The door to the divine is always open, and God is waiting for you to come in. When you take one step towards God, God will take 10 steps towards you. Make time to redefine your relationship with the divine, and I can guarantee that your precious time will not be wasted. Now, when you explore your own personal connection with the divine, you always first look into your heart rather than your head. The head is so full of ideas about what God is and is not. The head misses the real experience, feeling, and quality of godliness. When the mind is quiet, still, and single-pointed into the now, we can instantly find that deeply alive spiritual feeling inside. The God source already exists within the heart and at the core of our soul. As we relax into this place, a timeless, deeply eternal, loving, conscious energy sneaks into us and relaxes every cell and fiber of our very being. Many of us find that God is the most mysterious thing in this universe, perhaps because it is the universe. God exists in everyone and everything, including those people you think are deeply disconnected. Have you wondered, how can such an amazing presence be so spatially close to us and still be so difficult to feel and see? It's like trying to look into your own eyes without a mirror. We look out at life through these tiny black holes in our eyes, taking them for granted and not realizing they exist at all because they are so close to us. When something is too close to us, we are often unaware how precious it is. The same applies to noticing God. We are unaware of God until we take a step back and look deeper into our own reflection in the great mirror that is all around us. Realization of the self is realization of God. It is not an experience of God. Rather, it is an understanding that one is God, Ramana Maharishi. So you understand that we begin to understand that there isn't a God outside of us. We are the God. And you see all the religious teachings of over 55,000 religions on this planet. They literally push us the other way. Separation, illusion of separation, believing that there is this almighty, powerful entity outside of us, controlling us, guiding us, directing us, and punishing us. And everything we do is outside of us. Now, it's easy to get seduced. It's right in front of you all the time, right? So you get seduced. Life's body ends. And you go, where did it all go? Do I know who and what I am? Never got that far. A lot will say. Maybe next lifetime. God is like a mysterious infinite energy than some fixed stagnant entity. The great is-ness is instantly found when we stop and feel into this eternal quality, which feels like we are always and forever here and now. The issue is in our infinite nature, and this can only be experienced when we are living fully in the now, exploring life from a relaxed, trusting connection. The divine is-ness is the most accepting, healing, forgiving energy one could imagine. The is-ness is the source of deep eternal love, which when even momentarily welcomed, we instantly feel the most profound ecstatic joy inside our hearts. The knowing that we are eternal spiritual beings moves through us throughout the day, like an eternal, like a healing river of eternal liquid love. The very second we surrender our heart to just the idea of an eternally loving is-ness, we immediately find real peace, a sense of bliss, and a feeling of real satisfaction that cannot be compared. Knowing this is-ness is our basic nature. We start radiating like the sun and start shining our own spiritual essence onto everyone in our life. The only reason we may not feel, believe, and know that God is right here within the very center of our body, soul, and heart right now is because of one thing blocking the way: our overly busy, demanding, controlling, and desiring mind. As long as the mind is wanting something, willing something, thinking it is lacking something, trying to reach a better place other than the great is-ness that's here now, we will easily miss our spiritual path. We will find ourselves living in thoughts about God instead of experiencing the real divinity. If we get too close in the head, we might end up walking into some highly intellectual, materialistic, and spiritually dry future. The God source is infinitely complex, yet deeply simple. God is actually quite easy to experience. The trick is learning, the discovery is learning what it takes to fully be here now. To feel the divine is-ness, we must first begin feeling whatever is up for us in this moment. We must explore how we can let go of the mind and open ourselves up emotionally, feeling everything that is here now. When we call off the mental search looking for God out there and simply feel into the core essence of our being, we find that we have been the ones who were hiding and protecting ourselves from the divine. God has always been here, is always here, radiating within every atom in existence and beyond. As we drop deeper beneath the thinking mind and through our blocked emotions, we discover the greatest source of peace: silence, stillness. This is where God abides. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Perhaps the most radical truth and discoveries about this human existence is this. We humans are either existing on some form of suffering or living in some form of bliss. All right? We humans are either existing in some form of suffering or living in some form of bliss. We are either in one or the other. We are either living up in our heads or we are in the heart of God. Once we quiet the mind and open our heart together, we can live a balanced life in both realms of head and heart. Doing this, we then start merging with the infinite mind of God. Now, if and when we can remain in this balance 24 hours a day, we will master this lifetime. Then every thought we think manifests into forming our living reality. By living in constant emotional connection with the divine from our core, we become a living bliss, breathing manifestation machine, perpetually creating every beautiful idea we feel and focus upon. There are not many things in this life, right? There are not many things guaranteed in this life. Yet one thing that is 100% guaranteed is this. At some point, you are going to return to God. It will happen either when your body is still alive or when your body stops breathing. Eventually, you'll feel intimately connected with God again. So do not worry about when or how. All roads lead back to God. The path ahead and the past behind you both lead back to God. God is unavoidable because our past and future are just mental concepts which only exist within this living present moment. The mind alone is always blind to the divine. It is only with a quiet, surrendered mind that we may access an open, receptive heart, which can see God in everyone and everything. The mind just doesn't want to realize how ignorant it actually is. It doesn't want to see how, it doesn't care to see how powerless, unfulfilled, and trapped it is, as this would cause a huge embarrassment to the ego, the mind's sidekick. When we spiritually wake up, the mind realizes its petty search in the outer world to find everlasting satisfaction is spiritually fruitless. Only when the mind surrenders to God do we discover what absolute bliss feels like. Otherwise, the mind will continue to persist in its addictive habits of seeking fulfillment in the outer world. It will ignore seeing how true bliss is available here, now, as it needs to continue its addictive search for years, decades, and lifetimes. Mind is always trying to get its desires met. And met by people, food, substances, money, ideas, and is in the habit of constantly yearning for something. Yet, as we all know, once the mind gets what it wants, it's happy for a short while. Then it's back on the hamster wheel, again searching for fulfillment. Again, the mind is deeply unaware that it can never, ever be truly satisfied. It's good to know that whatever happens in this life, there are no real mistakes. God is an infinitely positive, creative energy. And this fierce force does not know what a mistake is. Every mistake that we perceive to be real or true is simply the mind forming another judgment. There is universal right or wrong. There is a universal right or wrong book. There is only deeper shades of truth, in which each higher level only reveals a lighter perspective on our enlightening mission. We are here to learn. One of the greatest goals of this life, if not the greatest, is to find the God source inside us 24 hours a day. This is the only thing which truly satisfies. Everything else fails vastly short. Feeling into your own personal, intimate connection with the divine is the most important thing you can do with your time each day. Everything else you do is going to be the ego seeking some form of gratification, which of course will not last. Beware of the ego, as it is easily caught in complaints, negativity, and creating problems that weren't there before. Your only job is to move beyond your ego. Transcend your small self. Step into the big self that you truly are. When you finally surrender to God at the center of your soul, you will know without a doubt that you have just discovered the most amazing experience of coming home. It is confusing for many of us on this planet. When you feel this within the heart-mind, and you step out and you leave the mind and the ego alone, and you watch. You don't judge, you just watch. You begin to understand. You begin to understand that everything outside of you is an illusion, right? But what's in your face all the time, every day, after a while, you believe it to be reality. What you understand, we've created, the collective consciousness has created a world, right? And the world is a combination of good, bad, and ugly, which is us. Before we know we are the God. And have you ever noticed? It's basically self-proclaimed how you're never satisfied. And it could be anything in the wealth wheel, in the abundance, but anything, you're constantly not satisfied to a very deep degree. And you're constantly searching or seeking out there. There's something out there that you're going to, experience, that's going to help you realize there's something more than now. And that search is absolutely futile. We don't, and since it's so right in front of us all, none of us are exempt from it, we get seduced by it. And we get taken down a path of wanting, needing, and desiring. Have you ever come to a point where it's not just temporary, but it pretty much is consistent, where you are absolutely content and deep gratitude for the very now, moment to moment? You want for nothing. So your whole life is different. You're not running. You're not rushing. You're not hurrying. You feel no energy to push you anymore, because you're deeply grateful for everything in the very moment. Because you do know that that body is not guaranteed to wake up tomorrow morning. And that's all of us. Every one of us. So we focus on the now, moment to moment. Now, for some, it's like pulling teeth. It's just, for them, it's huge effort. And you know, when you get into a comfort zone, it's really not easy to get out of it because you're comfortable. Why would you turn that upside down by getting outside of it and discovering who and what you are? See, when we discover that we're the God within this body, we begin to understand that instead of chasing, grappling, pulling, climbing, grimacing to get to some proverbial top in this life, we figured it out. That's the opposite. That we request and we receive. Now, if the receiving can come in any form. Could be opportunities that pass through that you look at. It could be things that appear, things that happen within a matter of days. You just don't know. Anything's possible. What do you think will happen when the majority of people on this planet find the God that they are? What will happen to the illusion of the ego mind? It will cease to exist. So what does that mean? Well, it means that you have no interest in grappling, clawing, climbing, rushing, and hurrying to a proverbial top in this life. You'll be completely content. And you will absolutely know within that whatever you desire, you can manifest. You will also know that the universe is you and you are the universe. And the universe is your best friend. Always. Always has your back. Never hasn't. It's just many of us don't even know what the universe means, what its association is with us. Most believe that there isn't any. That's just a bunch of gobbledygook that we don't know, and we do. Some of us know, others are beginning to know, and others are just waking up to know. So this is a transition. We are not being, how do you put it? We're not being fooled anymore. When those of us who decide to go within, we're not being fooled anymore. And our frequencies, our vibrational frequencies, continue to increase. And from the surface standpoint, we build a new planet. And we develop a new structure. And this is what's happening, the collective consciousness. This is not just a revamp. It's a new beginning. And when you start understanding why so many people are becoming aware to a certain extent so rapidly. Why it won't take thousands of lifetimes anymore to discover who and what we are. Because we're doing it right now. Right in the now. Those of you who listen to these meditations all over the world, all over the planet, those of you who listen to the recordings, you're beginning to know that. There's no sales job pitch here. It is pure divine direction. And it's up to you to choose. You could choose and embrace the God that you are, or you can just keep walking by it. And then every now and then you get curious and say, oh, maybe I ought to go down there. Maybe I ought to take that road there. Nah, I don't know what's down there. I'll wait. See what the others say. And so we just kind of prod along. And then you have a key. We all have a key. And the key's sitting there, resting inside the lock, ready to be turned when you have had enough suffering and are ready to set your spirit free once again. Turning your key manifests on its own after understanding a few basic principles about what real freedom is and what it is not. Being totally wild and absolutely free is not some radical, rebellious, or disrespectful approach to this life. It is also not about conquering some controlling authority out there who is dictating the rules how we should and shouldn't live our lives. We don't need permission from anybody else to manifest the life we want to create. Real liberation in this life is not a pushing away to find freedom from someone or from something. It is more peaceful than that. It's about finding that which is already free inside us to be, do, and believe whatever we want. Real freedom is about recognizing how you already are the final word and ultimate authority of your life. It is knowing that what you honestly believe is what becomes real. And this is the end truth and final reality. There are over 8 billion different realities on this planet now, and we are one of them. The moment we choose to believe we can be a wild, fully self-expressed, fun-free being is the exact same moment we realize that we already are the absolute final authority of our lives. The truth is that we are already constantly manifesting everything in our lives. We're already doing it. We place our attention everywhere. We place it all the time. We're placing our attention. Even right now, we're placing our attention. And this is our energy. This is what we're made of. And it's where our energy flows is what we manifest. And the interesting thing is we're already with the great God source. And it is creating everything around us through us. Our greatest freedom comes from understanding this, surrendering to this truth, and feeling how it shows up in everything we do. Every action that we take and live is an expression and an extension of our consciousness. Whatever we are feeling about ourselves and this life is emanating energy out into this world around us. Nothing and no one is separate from each other. We are all impacting each other all the time. By becoming more sensitive to this truth, it becomes obvious how our own limiting beliefs are imprisoning us and stopping us from living the amazing lives we were born to live. The greatest transformations in this life often show up in the most subtle and gentle forms. It is vital that we first see where the prisons exist in our lives. Understand how each one is sustained each day in order to demolish it from our own minds. Initially, we may not see the prison walls around us because we are so used to them. These invisible cell bars are all the limiting, skeptical, doubtful, and negative beliefs we carry each day. It is a long, compromising list of constrictive ideas that we tell ourselves who we are and what is impossible to achieve. To give yourself permission to be totally wild and absolutely free starts with finding and releasing every limiting belief which you are clinging to. That makes you feel not so expansive and free. Find those heavy negative thoughts which you honestly feel are true and real about yourself, yet also make you feel sick, stuck, heavy, and very unhappy. Let them go because they are just ideas which no longer serve your greatest good. This may sound ridiculously simple, yet when you reach down into the core of you, you'll find that the truth is that you are the God source itself, making up all the rules as you go. And that is all there is. When you are ready to empower yourself and manifest the most amazing life, you'll discover this truth. And then life just naturally becomes easier, more magical, and amazing. In order to stop being attached to all our limiting beliefs and heavy thoughts, we must choose to deeply desire to be free. We must choose to feel into our suffering inside in order to let it go. There must be a visceral feeling in the body of the stuckness first in order for the release to be real. Then we must choose to continuously step back from it and see how every apparently good and bad belief we had about who we are fall into the pile of small limiting beliefs. We must choose to leave behind all beliefs to be free. Let go of all of our disappointments, hopes, and fears that we want to truly start living, because attachment to any belief will create some form of future suffering. We must choose to live life as if everything could end tomorrow, and also be this eternal spiritual being who knows that nothing could ever destroy us. This is your life, so live it to the max. You don't know exactly how long you're going to be around in that body. How long is that body going to be around? This universe has given us a mouth to smile with, a body to enjoy. Don't waste a day that you are here on this beautiful planet. Go outside, live your life totally, fully, and truly. I invite you to feel what it's like to be totally freed from the good and bad opinions of others. You can begin now. Imagine how it might feel in your body to be completely, truly, honestly free from everyone's thoughts, opinions, and judgments of you. No matter what anyone says, it could be your mom, your dad, or some stranger, does not reflect in any way who or what you are at all. Instead, you realize the divine, infinite, spiritual being who you truly are is beyond all thought and concepts completely. This non-attachment to others' opinions of you is one of the most self-loving, natural, and honorable ways we can live each day. This is the golden key that turns the lock to realizing at the core who and what we are is already a powerful, divine, and magnificent spiritual being. This spirit and soul, who we really are in essence, is already always free. Take the risk and get to know your basic spiritual nature. Feel the essence of your infinite spirit inside. This is something that cannot be contained, imprisoned, nor taken away by anything or anyone in the outer world. Realizing this, that this is real freedom, and this spiritually free feeling is our natural state of being. All exploration and expression from this place is the most loving act we can give to ourselves and others. The full expression of our real spiritual nature is the deepest gift we can give, and it is the greatest honoring of who we truly are. You may think that becoming a wildly liberated human being is not the top priority on your to-do list this week. Yet, if it's not in there somewhere, you definitely aren't going to enjoy doing anything on that list of yours. Without wild freedom, your entire life becomes what? A chore, a burden, and a heavy job that must be accomplished, just so that you get your wants and needs met. If and when you don't stop this nonsense and turn that golden key to unlocking your spiritual freedom, you will miss out on the main core purpose of your life, which many do, which is to enjoy the short time you are here and alive. It is only by experiencing truth your own freedom happens. Freedom is the fragrance of the experience of truth, Ocean. Now, the first basic step for any of us to freedom, true freedom, is learning how to continuously let go of what others think of you 24 hours a day. This means releasing what you think your immediate friends, family, coworkers, and lovers think about you. Honestly, do you know exactly what goes on in their minds? When you drop what you think their opinions are of you, you can actually release whatever your opinions are about you. As long as you are attached to what anyone thinks about you, you'll never be able to be totally free from what your mind thinks, believes, and perceives about you. The mind is like a judgeaholic. It is always judging, comparing, and labeling something or someone, then changing its mind again and judging again. The mind is a genius and creating all sorts of fanatical, exaggerated opinions, beliefs, and stories. When you understand this truth, it's easy to totally let go of what others think of you, for their opinions will always change. This creates a space inside you to think outside the box. Believe whatever you want to believe about who and what you are. This spaciousness is the very source of your greatest freedom. To step back from your thoughts, for they are all borrowed ideas from other people anyway. Deep down, this life is more humorous and ironic than we realize. We are creating all of our suffering and joy all day long, every day. We are responsible for it all. The irony is that each day along this lifelong journey, at the very core of our being is a river of perpetual, loving, creative energy overflowing with deep healing peace. We don't have to go anywhere to find it. All we simply need to do is sit, become deeply relaxed in the body, and train the mind to not cling to any thought that arises. It may take some time to relax that body you're in, to be truly cling-free and deeply find peace. Yet, doing so, you will experience your soul essence and spiritual nature. There is nothing more important that you should be doing with your life. The more often that you practice being at peace with what arises in the mind, the easier it becomes to experience every ordinary thing in this life as divine. God follows us wherever we go. Whenever the mind clings to something extra important or special, notice this with awareness and don't push it away. Don't label anything as bad, wrong, or a problem. If you do, this in itself will become what's blocking you from feeling an enlightened, liberated state. Welcome all thoughts with great curiosity and explore what is beneath each one. You'll see that there is nothing there. Each thought is recycled information, gifted from the outer world, that we shouldn't take personally at all. Now, if and when you want to get down to the core of you, ask yourself some deep personal questions. What hole inside you are you trying to fill? Where do you feel trapped in your life and why? Write down these questions and your answers. Make this a 20-minute enlightening exercise that gently opens the door to your soul. When you discover where you feel trapped and empty, you'll see why you're clinging to those things that you cannot let go of. This understanding is the most important next step of your wild journey coming ahead. The real battle is won. When we see that there are no real enemies out there, and that the only real enemy is the imaginary one within our minds. This realization is the sacred path to our enlightenment. And finding our inner wildness within is the bridge back to our spiritual essence, simply because our spiritual nature is wild, free, and untamable. Expressing this wild spirit within ourselves awakens us from the almighty ego trip we're on. It unlocks the door so that we can step into the vast universe and deeply take care of our wounded selves in the most sensitive, loving, and healing ways. When we discover this connection to our real spiritual nature, we instantly see how every human being is a soul and a spiritual gift to our lives as well. From this place, each person we encounter becomes the source of more love, joy, and inner peace in our lives. When we give ourselves permission to feel spiritually connected, when amongst others we truly become the wild, unstoppable, free being we were born to be, we no longer feel wounded, avoid others, or resist letting ourselves be nourished and loved. We start embracing the divinity that we all actually are. And the more we practice feeling into this spiritual connection, the better life feels, and the more real our divinity becomes. Understanding that you are a spiritual being, you realize there is nobody to fight with or against anymore. You see everyone as your friend and greatest teacher. When we can live 24 hours of one day, knowing we are all sacred, divine, spiritual beings that will never, ever die, we will stop suffering completely. The fight will end with others and within ourselves. We can all then realize together we are the ultimate authority of our individual realities and capable of creating heaven any moment we want to on this earth. Meditation is a listening with a receptive heart. Buddha. I'll join you in the meditation, and I'll return to close us out. Take an easy breath, slowly, in through the nose, and an easy breath slowly out from the mouth. Remain still. Divine abundance is your natural state. Every cell of your body is pulsating and vibrating with super alive conscious energy right now. When you relax into your body, do you feel it? All your atoms are singing and dancing together. They are having a great party inside you. Your body is celebrating being alive in this universe. And if you look all around you with eyes of gratitude and wonder, all you will see is a massive display of creativity, energy, and abundance. You are truly surrounded by abundance in every direction. Think about what actually had to happen for all these amazing material things to manifest themselves. Imagine all the time, creative energy and love that went into seeding and growing all the plants, trees, gardens, flowers. Think about what had to occur for each of these houses, cars, TVs, computers, floors, streets, buildings, and entire cities to manifest. Think about all the sex that had to occur for all 8 billion people to be born and living on Earth today. Whoa. Remember that everyone, including all plants, animals, sea creatures, were all born from an orgasm. Now this is getting really exciting. It's truly amazing, and best of all, imagine that everything and everyone here, for your enjoyment. Now, do you see the abundance that is all around you? Do you feel it? If you think abundance in life is all about the surplus of money in your bank, or how expensive the things are that you own, you are deeply mistaken. Some of the most miserable people in this world are the most financially wealthy. They simply don't know how to feel this divine abundance that is dancing inside them all day long. Real everlasting abundance comes from being in touch with the divine, being who you truly are. The creative, loving, juicy, alive essence of who has the potential to vibrate, gyrate, and reach the highest frequencies of inner freedom. Even if you're struggling with money, just start to accept the fact that in many ways you already are living an abundant life. It's more fun and enjoyable than pretending that you aren't. Enlightenment starts with choosing to see through a more expansive perception that makes us feel truly free. I can see the super rich and deeply appreciative being is growing and glowing inside you now. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night and the following morning. We will return here Wednesday, April 19th, 2023, 3:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call, and 9 p.m. Eastern to continue our time for change call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest and the deepest, deepest, deepest eternal gratitude at all times, no matter what's going on around you.